Hi guys, so this is my first ever ASMR video. I do apologise, I keep forgetting the name. I shall be reading a short chapter from Zak Bagans' book Dark Worlds. He is the lead investigator of Ghost Adventures, which is on the Treble channel. So his book's about the paranormal. So I will read half of it, and then if you like it I will read the other half, guys. So I hope you enjoy. Sounds and smells. The sounds of the Birdcage Theatre are wonderful to experience, and they illustrate how some of the most common paranormal activity is heard but not seen. I've had literally hundreds of incidents of door slams, footsteps, objects being dragged and various other sounds while conducting investigations. Many times these incidents are caused by drafts, changes in barometric pressures, the cooling and settling of a building, or pipes knocking together when air or water is pumped through them, but many times none of the natural conditions necessary to cause objects to strike each other and make noise are present, which leaves no other explanation but to label it as paranormal activity. Every time I hear something out of place, I investigate it and try to debunk it. At least 50% of the time I find nothing that could have caused the sound. Footsteps are very common in paranormal investigations, so much so that I expect to hear footsteps above me almost everywhere I go. They seem to happen with more regularity than other sights, smells and sounds. At the Moonweather Brewing Company in Savannah, Georgia, I was preparing for an investigation of this old building, which I heard the distinct sounds of boot heels clacking on the wooden floor above. It was loud and unmistakable, and I was absolutely sure someone else was in the building. Nick and I ran upstairs to see who it was and tell them to get out of the building, but no one was there. We had already been locked into the establishment for the evening and confirmed that no one else was in the building. My only conclusion is that it was the residual energy of a former worker walking across the floor and dragging something heavy like a barrel or a chest or a body. Footsteps like these were also common during an investigation at the Vulture Mine outside Phoenix, Arizona, once a thriving community centered on the most productive gold mine in the state's history. The Vulture Mine was a community of nearly 5,000 people at one point. The mine closed during World War II, and a once flourishing community became a cold, desolate spot on a forgotten map. At least 25 people are known to have died suddenly and violently in what was once Vulture City, and their spirits are trapped in a lonely town with nothing but miles of open desert to keep them company until I showed up. Everywhere I went in those buildings, footsteps echoed from different rooms and floors, and these were not modern-day tennis shoes or soft-soled kicks. Those would have sounded different. The sounds were clearly hard-soled boots with heels, so it's easy to believe that they were the footwear of a past era. It was like an entire company of miners had just gotten off work and marched through the old town, but didn't want to be seen. They were as elusive as heat waves on the desert floor that you only see from miles away, but not up close. If I was in one room, the footsteps were in another. When I was on the ground floor, boots walked across the floor upstairs. When I went upstairs, they were downstairs. It was like a game. It was like a game to help then, and since it was harmless I played along. I would rather hear footsteps all around me than nothing at all. That way at least I know they're there and I'm doing all I can to make contact with them. But when it comes to phantom sounds, one of the creepiest things I've ever witnessed also played out with the vulture mind. During our investigation there, Aaron distinctly heard the sounds of a piano playing in the schoolhouse. He stood motionless in the main room listening to the music, but the keys on the dilapidated piano, which had sat unused for probably 100 years, were not moving. Beyond that, the piano was incapable of playing music. Its strings were long gone and its keys were stuck. Aaron walked over to it and pushed on several keys to make sure it was incapable of making sound, and nothing came out of it. There was no way it could play music, yet we all heard the notes floating through the air of the abandoned building. How does a piano that doesn't even work make music? Was this a residual haunting of a room full of miners and entertainers letting off steam after a long day in 1880? Was it a child's recital after long hours of laborious practice? I can't ascribe any intelligence to sounds like these. To me, random sounds that are not human voices, or especially footsteps, are residual hauntings. They're the echoes of prison guards still walking their beats, of miners striding over an old wooden floor, of brewery workers dragging goods from one end of the store to another, and of history that refuses to be forgotten. Whatever it was, it gave us a priceless Aaron Goodwin facial expression for the books. Smells are another part of paranormal investigation that boggles me. I smelled horse manure in Castillo de San Marcos, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't Aaron's gas, because he doesn't eat hay. I smelt perfume in the old Washoe Club, a rotting corpse in my apartment in Michigan, the foul and musty air of mould at the ancient Ramen, and the putrid stench of sulphur in Bobby Mackey's Music World. Those smells were always out of place and had no source. It's something I love about paranormal investigation because it takes me to the time period when the building was alive and teeming with activity. It also serves as a warning that more paranormal activity is about to happen. It's a yellow light at an intersection begging you to make a decision. Slam on the brakes or floor it. I'm not big on brakes. Like sounds, I could classify these incidents as residual hauntings, but then again they always seem to precede paranormal phenomena, so they might be the precursors to something bigger. I've heard the tales of a pipe-smoking 19th century mogul wandering the halls of his old home and a perfume-soaked prostitute stalking an old inn, so it's certainly feasible that oldest can be one characteristic of an intelligent spirit that still roams its old stomping grounds. If I smell sulphur in a dilapidated barn and no one has eaten White Castle hamburgers, then bad stuff is about to happen. So guys, that is a little brief chapter, so I hope you have all enjoyed it. I do apologise that you can hear my dogs running in the background, but obviously some of you may like the sounds, so that is probably a good sign. So here is the book, guys, if you'd like to get it, if you're into paranormal investigating. It is available on Amazon. Just look for Zak Bagans-Dark Worlds. Thank you so much, guys, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have any more requests, leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe.